Um, yeah, this is a Patreon request from my mystery patron, um, Lightnin Hopkins. Now, I do know Lightnin Hopkins. I've listened to a couple of. I used to be mad into blues and going into just different blues players and yeah, but I don't know Billy Bizarre. I don't know him, so yeah, this should be interesting. Mr. Charlie, no. So yeah, let's go.
Once in the country, there was a little boy. He stuttered. His mother didn't know what kind of language that he was trying to speak when he said, won't. Well, she didn't know that that would make a difference, and she just wondered one day, what kind of child have I got? So the little boy couldn't understand his mama, and she couldn't understand him. So last one day, the little boy made up in his mind to leave home. So he packed up his little flour sack and he put his little few pieces in there and he went wandering down the road. He run up on a place to call the old rolling mill, back to the business with Mr. Charlie. So when he got there, Mr. Charlie was in his rose bushes. He was working around his rose. He patted Mr. Charlie on his back. He said, Mip, 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 Mip. He said, boy, what you doing here? Me want home. He said, oh, I don't know. Go on, I ain't got time to fool with you. I got my work to do. He stooped down and went on, began doing his work again, as he was at first. So the little boy patted him on the back again. He said, look here, I got an old bunkhouse out there in the back. If you'll promise me that you'll live in that old bunkhouse and take care of my meal, and if my meal catch on fire, I live 2 blocks down the road, run up there and tell me my meal's on fire. You'll have a home with me long as I got one. Me to do it. Mr. Charlie get the old boy to home. Last one day, Mr. Charlie's meal caught on fire, which was a Sunday morning. The little boy did the very best he could to put the meal out, but he couldn't. So he run on up there, and Mr. Charlie was in the front yard, working around the rose bushes, which is very beautiful. The boy takes him on the back, said, Mr. Trying to say Charlie, pointing back toward the mill. Mr. Charlie had forgot he told the little boy if his mill catch on fire to run up there and let him know once and ever catch on fire. So Mr. Charlie said, boy, here you is again. Said, I don't have time for you. I got my work to do. So the little boy tested him again and raised up. He said, roll. And he was trying to tell him his rolling mill was on fire. Mr. Charlie looked at him. He thought about what he told him. He said, look at here, boy. Say, if you can't talk or sing, the little boy said, whoa, Mr. Charlie.
Mm, that was great. That's good storytelling. That's good storytelling as well. Like he, yeah, yeah. That was like it's like one of them old. Well, obviously he is old, but it's like one of them old kind of old wives' tales, or like yeah, like the one of the the little girl cooking with her mum, and her mum cuts half the meat off, or cuts the end of the meat off before she puts it in the pan. She says, "Why'd you do that?" And the mum says, "Because that's what my mum done." So the little girl asks her Granny, why do you cut the end off? She says, "Because that's what my mum done." So then she goes to see her great gran. She says, "Great gran, why do you cut the meat off?" And the granny said, "Because my pan's too small." But yeah, anyway, that was fire, and how we went into that as well.
His rolling mill was on fire. Mr. Charlie looked at him. He thought about what he told him. He said, look at here, boy. Say, if you can't talk or sing, the little boy said, whoa, Mr. Charlie. Do you know your rolling mill is burning down? Middle Charlie, do you know your rolling mill is burning down? Middle Charlie, see if you ain't got no water, boy. Just let that old mill burn on down. Little boy, he got to thinking about he wouldn't have no home. And he told Mr. Charlie, whoa, Mr. Charlie, I won't have no place to stay. Mr. Charlie, I won't have no place to stay. Mr. Charlie said, boy, you'll have a home with me. Just as long as there is a day. Woo! Woo! Little boy went off and he cried. Woo-hoo! Little boy told him one more time. Whoa!
I think I'm definitely have to go in because Lightnin Hopkins, although I did listen, like I did have a little, I can't remember what the track was, but it was nothing like this. This is almost like John Lee Hooker. I've said it before about another blues track we did, Bad like Jesse James. But it's got that same kind of crossover of talking, singing. Another one is Going Down Slow, the Howlin' Wolf and Willie Dixon, isn't it? I think it's Willie Dixon doing the spoken bit. Now, I did not say that I was a millionaire, that one. And when Howlin' Wolf comes in on that last, please rap my mama. Greatest voice in rock, even though it's not rock, but that gravelly rock voice, no one had a voice like Howlin' Wolf. Apart from actually Captain Beefheart, I heard that in, but that was because he was so influenced by Howlin' Wolf. But yeah, let's keep going because this is fire. This is so up my street. I love this type of thing.
Little boy told him one more time.
Whoa. Oh no, I won't stop it no more. But for the guitar players out there, how much of a nag is it to play with the thumb pick? Oh my god, I hate them things. Never ever got on well with them. But yeah, let's go.
Little boy told him one more time. Whoa, Mr. Charlie. Do you know your rolling mill is burning down? Middle Charlie, do you know your rolling mill is burning down? Mr. Charlie said if you ain't got no water, boy,
Let that bill
just
burn
let
on
that
down.
old mill burn on. The way that you born, that's the way you're supposed to be. It ain't no supposed to be. That's the way you're gonna be. You can be born with one foot turned that way. I see the man walking over feet just like that. He couldn't help it. He couldn't help it. So the little boy what was stuttering, he couldn't help it. See, that was just the way he was born. So you take a man, if he stutters, he can't talk to you, but that's stuttering. But he can sing your song. If he know our tune to sing, he won't stutter. He'll sing it. And you don't hear him stuttering on that word he said.
I don't know.
Y'all heard of John Lee Hooker? No, you don't know, but I do. You heard of John Lee Hooker? You have? If you ever heard of John Lee Hooker, I want you to meet him in person and talk with him and see how he said, yo, and watch him say,
I didn't know that.
you my kind. He don't be stuttering.
Yeah, that was great. That was literally like what I said. That whole thing was an educational thing, basically. Teaching you, that's what Jordan Peterson talks about with fairy tales and myths and religions. They teach you things through story that you can't teach because, for example, if you tell someone be a good person, well, why? Why be a good person? What's the moral code or moral thing to be a good person? And whose definition of a good? But if you can tell someone, teach them something in a story, it's like things like Little Red Riding Hood, is a woman because obviously Little Red Riding Hood is a female. She's on the path to grandma's house to becoming the matriarchal grandmother of the family. But on the way, there's wolves. Don't go off with the wolf. That will lead you astray from becoming grandma. So it's and the woods is the unconscious or like the unknown, the unconscious mind, like woods, sea. Yeah, that was great. That was very deep. Because another thing with me, that's very true with it. And it's funny that I said John Lee Hooker and he said John Lee Hooker, and I didn't know John Lee Hooker actually had a stutter. I didn't know that. Yeah, I've not come across that little tidbit of information, but it's the same with music, with Alzheimer's, where it's the same. To be fair, I'll relate it to myself as well. I know a lot of songs, and I like to take for example Bob Dylan songs. I can play Bob Dylan songs that are 7, 8 minute songs. Ask me a lyric out of it, I won't be able to tell you. But I can, as soon as I sit down and start playing it, it just bang, it's just there. And it's because you're not with music, you don't store it in the same place you store other memories. So Alzheimer's, so someone that has, I literally saw a thing about it where this man, he was so gone with Alzheimer's, he couldn't even, if you pointed at a piano and said, "What's that?" he'd have no idea. But if you sat him in front of a piano, and he will play it like he's because where the music playing an instrument is stored is somewhere different. It's not a memory. So Alzheimer's attacks the memory part of your brain, but it doesn't attack that. So even if someone can't tell you the name of the instrument because they can't remember, they can still, which is fascinating. It's fascinating. It's fascinating the magic music has in so many different ways. But yeah, that was great. That was such a good request. And it's funny that I've said John Lee Hooker, and he brought up John Lee Hooker, and there's a fact I didn't know about John Lee. I love John Lee Hooker. Like I say, Bad Like Jesse James is one of my favourite. As I goes to the cabinet when he talks about now I had this girl, no, I had this friend. He going around town talking about he got my wife. I found out, and I goes to the cabinet. No, I goes to my gun cabinet. like a good man should. Yeah. John Lee Hooker is another one. If people haven't gone on to John Lee Hooker, he's got some great. I mean, obviously, his most famous one is a boom, 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 gonna shoot you right down. But yeah, yeah, that was a great request. But yeah, that's the reaction. Sweet.